What's up, guys? This is Justin, and this is the Welcome to Your Doom show. This is episode number 23. Uttal and I are talking about the whole James Gunn being fired by Disney thing over some tweets. Needless to say, it kind of blindsided us. In fact, the reactions you see in the video are actually 100% genuine. Why? Well, we were actually recording for a future episode that we're going to be doing on the whole Dark Knights Metal comic book series, and then we ended up coming across this news while we were actually looking for Comic-Con news, and it completely blindsided us. So, like I said, everything's genuine, and we have some pretty strong feelings on it one way or the other. So please comment, like, subscribe. Do you think we're way off base? Do you think one of us is too liberal? Do you think one of us is too conservative? What are your thoughts on the whole thing? Did he deserve it? Did he have it coming? Also, it's totally my fault that this video took so long to come to YouTube before it actually did, since we actually released the podcast episode last week. Life's just been busy. Haven't had enough time to edit, but I will be making a better effort to make things come out a lot sooner, hopefully a couple days after the podcast episodes air. So you can check out our podcasts pretty much wherever you get podcasts. And that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to your doom.
Whoa. That's unexpected.
What's that?
James Gunn fired as the director of Marvel's Guardians 3? The fuck?
It seems ridiculous.
That seems absurd. Oh shit. After a series of offensive tweets? Oh boy.
I think he's kind of a douche.
James Gunn?
Yeah. I've seen some stuff from him in the past too where he kind of said some weird sexist nonsense. Like, what Trump would call that locker room sort of
Room talk?
But except as it was like on Twitter or like in an interview or something like that. It was just he said some oddly offensive things in the past. This doesn't surprise me. It surprises me that he's fired, certainly, but it doesn't surprise me that he made some questionable comments.
I want to know what this guy's tweets were.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still up there. He says they discovered them, so maybe it's like...
Maybe they're like really old.
Yeah, they might be really old, yeah.
Oh.
And these historical, too?
Yeah, I mean, these are his tweets.
No, but I mean, like, they're from, like, a while back?
I can't tell in this fucking small image. September 2010 was that last one I just read. Like, 2009, 2011. Like, this guy's not, like, he's got a sense of humor to him. He's a funny... I mean, I think the guy's generally a comedic person. I mean, it shows in his art.
Like, I was just looking at Birth, Movies, Death, and they have the post up, and there's a bunch of comments here. And James Gunn made off-color jokes a decade ago is the least surprising thing in the world.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of guy he is. That's what I'm saying. Like, he can rub people the wrong way. He made, I don't know if you've seen Super.
Yeah.
But Super is just like a really offensive, I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it. Like comedy, like superhero comedy. That was, I don't think, I mean, I'd have to see all of them, or to see what did they see that made them make that decision? Maybe it's none of these. Maybe it's something else, right? But
I don't know. That I don't know. Maybe there's something more to this than we know, but like, I don't know, man. That just fucking...
It's like, so no one at Disney saw Super or knew the guy worked for Troma. Troma being that one of those production companies that produces those like really graphic, grindhousey kind of movies.
Yeah. I mean, fuck. That's ridiculous. Oh my god.
George Clooney said it best. Here's a real danger when you're really famous. I can have a drink or two at night. I don't need to have an apparatus that in a drunken joke even I could say something. I don't know what the hell that means. Anyway, and I go to sleep and wake up in the morning and my career will be over.
Yeah. Man, that's fucking crazy. I could not have guessed that would ever happen. Unless he fucking, like, unless something he did something and this is all just some cover for it. I don't know. But, like, firing a dude over fucking tweets from almost a decade ago is bananas to me. That's fucking bananas.
Yeah, I would categorize the stuff that you read at least as distasteful jokes rather than like, I don't know.
God damn it. I hate where this world is going.
I mean, if you're famous, if you're famous like James Gunn famous, you just, like, I'm not talking about like you're trying to make it in the industry, if you're famous and you don't, you've made a name for yourself, you don't need to be on Twitter. I feel like Twitter is just like giving a child a gun. It's like a loaded gun. It's the same thing.
Have you seen the president?
Yeah, well, I mean, people. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's
take him off.
You're shooting yourself in the foot. Like, you're giving yourself a highly public pedestal to soapbox to speak from, and the world isn't going to agree with your views, and those views are going to come back to haunt you, and the stuff you say is going to come back to haunt you. So it's, I don't know, man. I feel like these guys just do it to themselves by being on there.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you doing? Like, you know how you make this stuff not happen? You don't fucking announce your ideas to the world every second of every day. Just keep it to yourself, or with your friends.
The problem with that though is that it's, what's the best way to put this? I think the problem with that is, in the world we live in, that's how people get more and more famous, and that's something they need to do from a marketing standpoint. They always have to be putting out something that's clever and giving the people, like, why does The Rock have to post anything on Instagram? Just because
he's got it's the Rock machine.
It's the Rock machine. It's the James Gunn machine. It's all those guys. I know what you mean.
But he's already, yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is that, and I don't understand how, marketing works at that level of stardom, like what you have to do in order to keep your brand. But James Gunn is a director. Mm-hmm. He is not a public figure like The Rock is, not by a long shot.
No, not by a long shot. But
he doesn't. This is my opinion. I don't think that having a soapbox to stand on to tell everybody what you think all the time is a requirement for your career. That is a personal choice.
But the thing is, even if that is the personal choice, right? Mm-hmm. If that's his choice, and he's going to go on Twitter and make some jokes to his fans and people that know that he generally knows want to hear it and will get a chuckle out of it, because I laughed my ass off on a couple of those, and so did you.
Yeah.
But like, why does everybody have to read that and be like, oh, we need to be upset about this? Like, what the fuck? It's silly.
Hold on.
It's so fucking silly.
When you're in somebody's house or you're at a bar hanging out with your friends and you make those jokes and everybody laughs, that's wonderful. That's great. Mm-hmm. When you're at that same bar, you get up on the bar, grab a microphone, and speak into the loudspeaker so everyone can hear.
Yes.
That's not good, because your brand of comedy isn't going to work for everyone.
Okay, so look at it. So
people are allowed to judge you because you put yourself out there to be judged.
Agreed. Now, with that same analogy, say somebody from the bar that you don't know and you're talking to your buddies, all of a sudden kind of sneaks over and tries to listen to what you're saying, and because you're in a public place, they can't. They sneak over, they start listening, and then they start rising in uproar. It's like, dude, I wasn't really talking to you, I was talking to my friends. Mm-hmm. Same analogy here with Twitter. It's accessible by everybody else. Listen to me.
Okay.
It's accessible by everybody else.
Okay.
He's broadcasting this out to his fans and whoever else wants to listen. But then you get these people that just want to go there just to be outraged. Like, that's their decision. That's their decision, is like, you know what? This guy posted this to the people. He's trying to laugh on his thing or transmit some kind of a message. He's obviously not trying to be he doesn't mean anything he's saying. It's a joke. It's something that's going to give some sort of a positive rise to his fans, comedically, whatever.
No, I mean, it's his brand. I mean, it's off color. It's his brand of humor.
Absolutely. That's who he is.
I get that's who he is, but the problem is that I get the analogy, but it doesn't really fit.
It absolutely fits.
Because on Twitter,
it's just a bigger number. It's a bigger your group of friends at the table is your followers, and then the people that want to come in and just get offended are everybody else that's not following you and is just watching the shit on you.
I guarantee that there are people that are following him that found his stuff offensive.
Maybe, but there are times where I'll be in a group and somebody will be telling a joke and I'll get offended and I'll be like, that wasn't cool. But I'm not going to start like a big thing, whereas these people are. There's no reason for it. Like, if you've got a problem, I don't know. I don't think that basically this is what I would consider an overreaction, as I would if I was that person's friend.
Yeah.
They were making a joke, I got offended, and I flipped the fucking table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I guess my argument is strictly that it's on him. I don't think it's on anybody else. I think he took the risk. And that's what everybody does with social media. And it's implied. Everybody knows what the ramifications of this are. People can forget, but the internet doesn't. And it's just one more lesson in a long line of lessons that we've already learned, and we keep making the same mistakes. As individuals, I'm not talking about like whole groups of people. I'm talking about as an individual, if you make the choice to put something out there into a system that's never going to forget, right? Mm-hmm. And then it comes back to bite you. There's nobody to blame other than yourself.
That's right.
It's hard for me. Now the actual decision to do this.
Yeah.
I think again, there's no report on anything other than the fact that it's historical. Do they say tweets? Is it?
Yeah,
tweets?
It's historical tweets.
Yeah. So historical tweets. So. I don't know what it was that set them off. I haven't seen all of them, and it's hard. And if you read some earlier. I didn't think anything that it was crude.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
But I don't think he's a malicious kind of guy. Like, you balance the good with the crude and the bad, right? And he's posted a lot of very positive stuff, especially when the Star Wars stuff was happening, when people in the Star Wars cast were being lynched online. He was like, everybody just chill the fuck out,
Yeah.
And when Ahmed Best came out, the guy who played Jar Jar Binks came out and said like he almost killed himself at the fan reaction to episode 1, and he responded to that. So I mean, like, he doesn't seem like a malicious person, right? But at the same time, it's like, stuff is out there, and it's out there for people to judge. If they want to go see it, they can.
No, you're right. You're right.
I just feel like we haven't learned our lesson. Like, just don't.
But then my problem with that is then you're going to have a bunch of really creative people, really smart people, mm-hmm. and really funny people mm-hmm. that are out there, and they mm-hmm. might be in a different role, and they're not going to get their creativity out there because they're worried about some sort of backlash like this. That's fucking sad.
I disagree that they won't get their creative. We've been doing it for like 100 years. Hundreds of years now. Like, people have been creative without a worldwide global platform to shout from the rooftops on. Like,
sure, but that's another platform to get something that's more readily available for people too.
Sure, then put your creative content out there.
Sure,
like going out there and making crude jokes is different. Again, I'm not saying that I without seeing the tweets, I can't really pass judgment here. But I'm leaning towards this is an overreaction. I'm leaning towards that. But I'm saying that the system works. I guess the greater argument I'm putting forward is that why are you doing this? Think about it. Think about, before you do this, before you go on Twitter, before you go on Facebook and Instagram, think about it. Think about what it means, what the implications are. And you have to. It's your responsibility as a person to think about that. And if you don't think about it,
right,
then nonsense like this can happen.
But the problem with that then is what is the limit then, and what is the limit now? Right? Back then, like, you've got, like, even go back in the day of, like, some older stand-up comics. Some of the shit, or not even stand-up comics. Think about TV back in the day, right?
Sure.
Think of, like, what's it called? All in the Family. Archie Bunker.
Okay. I've never seen an episode of that. But
I think it was Archie Bunker. I might have messed up his name.
Anyways, just like
mixing
up a bunch of different actors.
This is it's a TV show that basically was like openly racist and it was in the 60s or 70s, probably 60s or 70s.
Okay.
But he was openly racist towards Hispanic people, towards black people, towards everybody, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now, if you put that TV show, even if you put a pilot out there, that shit's not going to go past, and people are going to be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, sure.
So, like, stuff that he was doing back in 2011 was fun and clever. Now, all of a sudden, there's more of a movement now than there was back then in, hey, social justice warrior shit. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that because of, these people said that it's wrong and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying that, what was it? It was like rape and pedophilia that he was joking about was reported that he was upset about. Or sorry, that Disney fired him over, or whatever it is. But like, I don't know I think maybe people are more sensitive to joking about that now than they were 10 years ago.
Sure.
Right? And because of that, now all of a sudden you're going to go back 10 years and be like, oh, we don't like that. Let's lynch him for that.
So
Like, and I know we're on the same page in terms of that it's an overreaction, right?
Like I said, we haven't seen the tweets that they're talking about, right? But
we saw a few.
But we don't know that those are the ones that they're talking about. They probably have 2 or 3 that are like, these are fucking, this is awful. If somebody digs this up,
maybe
our brand is going to be affected.
Maybe.
You know, like maybe. Like I said, I don't know. I'm leaning toward overreaction here. I'd like to see more detail. But sorry, I jumped in the middle there. But you're
no. That's like I was saying. We're on the same page there. Your argument is that we need to be cognizant of everything that we put out, and I guess my argument's kind of like, why? You know? Like, why does everybody have to get offended if somebody says just the wrong thing, but they have in their life and in everything they've done shown that they're joking? They're not trying to be serious. They're not trying to say something in favor of fucking rape or pedophilia. It's just a joke to get a rise out of people that have that sense of humor. And if you don't have that sense of humor, this joke's not for you. You don't have to get offended about it and start kicking and screaming, and then all of a sudden studios start firing people over something that's a lewd joke, because not only is it lewd, but it's going to offend some people. And that drives me fucking crazy, because I think there's so much funny material out there for groups of people like myself or whoever, but people are too afraid to go out and do that because that type of humor might get them blacklisted in the industry, or who knows.
Sure.
Offending groups of people, and then all this, like Dave Chappelle, when he in his I think it was in his first 2 Netflix specials, he was joking about transgendered people, and a bunch of people were up in arms about that. And it's like, you know what, the guy's making jokes, and I don't think, like, he's not being malicious in it. It's just that's what he does. He's a fucking comedian.
Yeah,
let the dude make his jokes. If he's not a good comedian and he's not funny, people aren't going to go and see it. But making a big uprising and protesting or putting out whatever movements and stuff for some comedy is just, it's ludicrous to me. And that's essentially what James Gunn was trying to do here, is he's trying to be comedic. And this is not only is he trying to be comedic.
I think it's the wrong platform to do that from the beginning. It's absolutely the wrong platform, because
platform? Oh, hold on.
But he's not a stand-up comic.
He's not. Like, but even if a stand-up comic,
this is stream of consciousness.
No.
This isn't like here's my material. Like, this is more like
Twitter. That's absolutely what it is.
Stream of consciousness.
No, it's material.
No,
the way I look
James
at
Gunn
it's a bit. It's a bit.
But he's not a comic.
It doesn't matter.
He's not a stand-up comic. So what does that mean?
Look at guys like Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's not a stand-up comic. He puts out comedic shit on Instagram, Facebook.
Sure.
I don't really have Twitter, but
that's what I'm saying. It's stream of consciousness. This is how he would respond to situations. It's his type of joke.
Sorry, I was looking at stream of consciousness like a long form thing.
No, sorry. What I mean to say is like,
but they put out bits there too. Things that they're trying to be funny for, right? Like, they're trying to make a funny joke or a funny point or whatever it is, based on something topical, something on the top of their head, whatever.
Sure, but it is when I say stream of consciousness, I mean it's their personality. This isn't a professional platform. It's not.
Yeah.
Right? That's different than, here's my movie pitch, right? So what I'm saying is that Twitter, you're saying that if you're a comedian, yeah, sure, get your stuff out there, make people laugh, because that's your business. Your business is making people laugh. But as a writer director, that's not his business. And I'm not saying that he has no business being on Twitter. What I'm saying is that he made that choice, and it's completely voluntary, completely personal for him. It's not professional at all. So losing that, like, if he didn't do that, he's not losing anything professionally, in my opinion. He's not at all. He can still work, and he can still network in the ways that folks network, right? It's so that's kind of what that's what I was getting at. But
the thing is stuff like that does pull weight. The number of Twitter subscribers you have,
sure, it's a marketing machine. So that's the part I don't really quite understand.
And I don't understand it enough either. But the thing is somebody that does those types of niche market movies and all of a sudden gets hired. I mean, when was the first Guardians film? It was probably, 2018? It was after 2012.
Yeah. So I mean,
whatever.
I'd like to know when the tweets were and
right
and all of that to figure this out. But in the end, I mean, you were talking about some historical. This opens up another avenue of conversation that we probably don't need to get into. But a lot of historical figures they're fallible people. Like they
Yeah.
had problems. Like I'm not a historian. Maybe I'll mention at least one that I know of for sure. Like H.P. Lovecraft, like the birth of this new genre, this cosmic horror genre. He was a avid racist. He was scared of what made people different, and he was afraid of that difference and of the implications to reproduction.
Yeah.
Like bloodlines getting muddled. Like that was something that was of concern to him all the time. A lot of his stories are driven by that fear, right? So what do? We look back at H.P. Lovecraft, turn of the century.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Well, in my mind, I'm like, at the time, that type of thought was. I mean, I think everybody has a different line.
Yeah.
That they feel the people that they admire can cross, right? And it's different.
Yeah.
For Mel Gibson, it's different. For Mike Tyson, it's different. For Lovecraft, it's different. And for James Gunn, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
Now, Lovecraft's an extreme case because we're talking like long time ago, right?
Of course, yeah.
But I mean, that's another thing. Can you separate the artist from the art?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that Disney asked themselves that question here, and they
said fucking no.
They absolutely said no. So, and it's, I can't help but feeling that James Gunn shot himself in the foot, and I don't
see that's my problem with your argument.
I find it hard to find blame anywhere else here, because in the end it starts with you. You don't know the audience that if you don't know your audience, and I'm always about that. We talked about that on the Rotten Tomatoes thing.
Yeah.
We both spend time getting to know, like, even if you just met someone for the first time, you guys start talking about movies or comics or games or books that you're reading or whatever, music. You don't just meet someone for the first time and then start saying, hey, you should listen to this album or this album or this album.
Yeah.
You're like, you spend some time getting to know that person. Be like, okay, I kind of know who I'm talking to. Maybe we can talk about, oh, what about this or what about this? Did you like this? Did you not like this? And you kind of refine that, that Netflix algorithm thing going on, right? But Gunn doesn't know the 10 trillion followers that are following him. He doesn't know. So he's throwing something out there and having people react to it. And if he doesn't know his audience, and he can't possibly, it's not his fault. He can't possibly know them. There's so many. This platform, that's the problem. I mean, when I say the problem, I'm like, that's what makes the platform so volatile, in my opinion, is that it's public. It's not just followers. It's just fucking everybody. Mm-hmm. It's everybody. So I can't help but thinking that's not it. It's not hidden. It's not like, oh, here's the quirk with Twitter. Like, everybody can see your tweets. It's not a big secret, right?
Yeah.
I just can't help but thinking that he shot himself in the foot. He should have taken responsibility and been more, I don't know, reserved. Whatever he wants to do. And if he's like, fuck that, I don't need to be reserved, then don't be on that platform. Do not be on that platform if you cannot be sensitive, because
but that's the word that bugs me, man, is this whole concept of sensitive.
But the world is sensitive.
Yeah, and it's getting more and more sensitive, and that to me is the inherent problem of things.
But raging against that change on this platform is going to get you in somebody's shit list, right? Is that the right way to go about it?
No, but the thing is, he's not raging about it. I'm raging about it because I don't like it. It's fucking garbage. I keep like, dude. Here's my worry is that someday let's say 10 years from now, all of a sudden somebody's going to be listening to this podcast and they're going to be like, whoa, these guys said fuck. We need to eliminate them. Do you know what I mean?
That sounds so ominous.
It sounds ominous, and it sounds like it's something, I don't know if I'd say it's something that could happen, but like it's something that
the Demolition Man universe would be ticketed.
We'd be fucking whipped or something. Like, it would be bad. I don't think they'd kill us over they'd give us the toilet paper.
Yeah, they give us that toilet paper tickets.
Still don't know what those 3 shells were for.
I'd be in heavy debt.
Oh,
the Demolition Man future. What was I going to say? I was going to say something that you were just saying. Oh, sensitive. Oh, sensitivity. On that. I don't think the world became sensitive.
I think it's gotten more sensitive.
Well, no. I don't think it's gotten like astronomically more sensitive. I think that our forms of communication, like the internet, have gotten people's ideas out there, and it's like having a small set of vocal people versus having a massive set of vocal people. Your averages all change, right? So I think people have always been said that we've always had, folks that have discovered, like men who have discovered they like men and have stayed in the closet the entire time. That person has always been there, has always been sensitive to that, right? It's only now that they're allowed to say that they were sensitive to that and they can come out of the closet or not be in the closet ever because our society is more accepting, because we're learning, we're being educated. That increase in scope, I think what you're calling increased sensitivity is just more inclusivity. It's easier to communicate. Twitter being like the primary one of the primary modes of doing that, Facebook and all the social media stuff. So in my opinion, I think we're learning, certainly, and sensitivity is becoming something that is being taught actively, I think. So it is spreading, like, so to speak. But I think people have always been sensitive. I think it's just when you get on a platform that when you're sitting in a bar at the turn of the century talking to your friends is different than going on Twitter and telling everybody what you think. So you're reaching way more people. So I'm saying that if you can't be sensitive, then you shouldn't be on Twitter, because you're inviting that argument, right? And if you can handle that, then by all means go ahead and do it. But if you don't do that, it's not taking anything away from you. It's not taking away your social interaction. If you want to be you hang out with the people that you hang out with. We lived without Twitter. It's like it's not a big deal. Not being able to reach 10,000 people instantly is something we can live without, right? And it's a choice to make. It doesn't get rid of the fact that we can sit here and talk about this, or we can go to somebody's house and have a couple of drinks and make a couple of dirty jokes. Absolutely, we can do that, and we do that, right? Twitter isn't needed. I guess I don't know. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like Gunn doesn't need it.
Yeah, but it's there. It's there, and it's a creative outlet for these people sometimes when they can't get a movie out every day.
Sure, yeah.
And it's a way for them. Oh, I just thought of this funny thing. I'm going to put it on Twitter. It'll be funny. And that's kind of how it comes, because I think that I don't know. Like I said, I don't have enough people that I would want to talk to on Twitter that I wouldn't just message on WhatsApp.
That's kind of what I mean. But you know who they are. You're
but the thing
messaging
is,
these people, you know who they are.
But the thing is, the people that are like if I had followers on Twitter, right? If I had a ton of followers on Twitter, I generally understand that they're following me because they actually like what it is that I'm selling, right? If my movies are making a bunch of money and it's in a certain brand,
sure,
it's probably because I have these thoughts. Hey, I've got something funny that's in and around the same, I don't know, shtick as what I've been doing. I'm going to post that because my followers are probably going to like that. When you figure like your base, right? I'm going to be marketing to the, I don't know, 30-something male, right?
Sure, yeah.
And that's kind of what he's looking at. He's looking at like, okay, I've got like the 20 to 30-something demographic, and they like these types of movies, etc. So that's kind of what he's going for. But then the problem with it's not really a problem with Twitter, in my opinion. It's people that are looking for things to be outraged about.
So think about this. So hold that thought.
Sure.
Right? I agree with pretty much everything you've said. Mm-hmm. But if that's really what he wanted to do and wanted to get to his audience, then the security or the permissioning on Twitter should be reversed. It shouldn't be public with people being allowed to opt in. He should be only contacting his followers.
Right.
But that's not what this is.
No.
This platform is public.
Yes.
Right? That's where I feel like that's the chink in the armor here.
So
like,
maybe that's an app idea.
Yeah, just like the
private Twitter.
Yeah, private.
No,
I mean, they have private Twitter, but like private messages.
Yes.
But
you can't do that as a public figure, though.
Yeah, not ethically. What's the word here? Like, based on principle, on what you've just described, I agree with you. If he was only contacting the people who wanted to be contacted by him, right? If he was only sending it to those people, right? Because they have chosen to say, "Hey, I like your brand of comedy. I'm going to opt in," but his comedy isn't just going to them. His jokes are public, and they can be consumed by anyone, and they don't even need to be looking for it. They can look at articles like this. They can look at other. You know how many headlines nowadays, and it's kind of odd, but you know how many headlines nowadays break on Twitter? They break on Twitter all the time. All the movie news that I read are so and so said this on Twitter, or announced a new movie on Twitter, or so and so were talking back and forth about making a movie on Twitter. Like, that's news. Now. Like, you don't have to. I have no idea how Twitter works exactly. I've never used Twitter, but I get most of my news from there just through other outlets. So it's mega public.
Yeah, it's absolutely public. But the thing is, like, to your point, in that shit, I'd already forgotten it. God damn bourbon. No, it's public. But the thing is I think that the people that are getting offended about it aren't the people that are his followers.
Correct.
I think they're the people that are looking for problems. And that to me pisses me off.
I think we could probably safely make that assumption.
Okay, yeah.
I also think there's such things as background checks and all of that.
Yeah,
so they're probably doing their due diligence to be like, do we have a dickhead on our hands, or like, what's going on here? We have a brand to defend. Do you think Disney is doing it out of some sort of moral, ethical reasons? No, they have a brand to defend.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, like, this is like a business move. Again, these are all just the wild opinions of someone who's, like, literally these articles about this happening are like a couple of sentences long, because there's nothing.
Yeah, and nobody has any information.
There's
right
no
now.
information.
James Gunn's been fired, and it's probably something about old tweets.
Yeah, the offensive attitudes and statements discovered on James's Twitter feed are indefensible and inconsistent with our studio's values.
Oh, that upsets me so much.
And we have severed.
Indefensible.
I think
we just defended it.
I think that's a very strong word.
And that came from Disney? That came from Disney.
This is Walt Disney Studios chairman Alan Horn.
Walt Disney was a known anti-Semite. What the fuck are they talking about?
Semite?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you said Sedimite.
No, I said Semite.
Oh.
I might have stuttered.
Sediment.
Now I'm upsetting people with a stutter.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to listen to this.
I'm upset at that.
God damn
I'm
it.
upset.
See, and therein lies the problem. Then I'm going to be in jail for making fun of a stutter, and then 3 years later be like, oh, we execute those people, and then I'm going to be dead.
And we have severed our business relationship with him. That's the final line in the announcement.
So I think that we can come to an agreement here. I think I see a middle ground. One, keep it clean on Twitter, folks.
Yeah, everybody's watching.
If you think something's like going to be really, really bad, like, I hate saying that though. I honestly was trying to go for that and I just couldn't. It bugs me. Because, like, I don't think what he said was that bad for somebody comedic in 2011 before he got a Disney franchise under his belt. Maybe, you know what? Maybe you should have gone back and deleted those tweets. I don't know.
Yeah, people can change, like, but the internet never forgets.
No, you're right.
So you can change all you like, but it's always going to be there. You gotta know your audience, and with Twitter you don't. So, fucking keep an eye out. Get that, like, assume that people are going to be offended by anything that you think might be offensive, or, like, I don't know. Nobody knows where that line is, but just, be aware. It's not just your followers looking at this stuff, right? If you want to talk to somebody, message them, call them. You want to tell awful, shitty jokes, then, tell them to your friends in private. Like, don't announce them to the world on Twitter. Anyway, I mean, this is the second one of these to happen. Like, Roseanne got fired for making, like, really clearly racist comments on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
And that, when I look at that, I'm like, that's just fucking off the charts, because it was deadpan serious. And how do you read that? It's typed, like, he was like, I was joking.
She was defending it based on, I think she was on Ambien or something, or she was doped up on something and just not in her right mind. But
in the end, Twitter doesn't fire people. People fire people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's just, I can't dig up any sympathy for Roseanne or James Gunn. You guys knew what you were doing. You knew.
Ooh, that's tough.
You knew. I mean, what?
That's
because
tough.
she was on Ambien.
I don't Roseanne. I don't know enough about Roseanne to defend her one way or the other. And the thing is I think I don't know, and I don't know enough about Ambien to defend her one way or the other either.
You know what? We'll try it next time, and then we can formulate an opinion.
We should do
it right now.
Podcast.
We should do it right now.
No, I just don't understand enough about it, so I won't defend her. But like James Gunn, I truly don't think that the guy meant anything badly about it. I think he was trying to get a positive rise out of his followers, who he would assume are the type of demographic that he would be marketing his films to in 2009 to 2011, and before the Disney brand got a hold of him. The fact that the Disney brand is now trying to be like, it was his offensive tweets that upset us and we want to backpedal. But you know what? The other thing we haven't really talked about, and this could be a thing, is maybe it's not just that. Maybe it's other things.
That's what I mean.
I look at it like
there's not a lot of detail here, so you can't really come to the conclusion
that is actually what it was.
Yeah, it could be a ton of other things. There could be there could be a ton of agendas, right? Here
yeah,
we don't know, and they haven't even released exactly why or what it was. So I mean, we should probably reserve comment. But regardless, Twitter is dangerous. And they should know that. Roseanne should know that. James Gunn should know that.
You're right. You are right.
It's hard for me to dig up sympathy for them because it's like, you did this.
You're a dick. How can you not dig up sympathy for James Gunn on this?
Because he actively stepped into that role when he knows. This isn't a secret.
Come on.
This is public stuff,
Come on.
man.
Assuming Disney let him go because of those tweets.
Principled and like that ethics and principles. Okay.
That's it. Let's take that at its word.
Sure.
You're telling me that you have no sympathy for James Gunn for trying to appease his audience on Twitter, his followers, the people that respect and like his work. Yeah. In 2011, before he got aboard the fucking Mickey Mouse train.
Yeah.
You're saying you have no sympathy for that, for them to go in 2018 back and be like, nah, not that.
It doesn't mean I think what he did was wrong.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying you have no sympathy for the man to say, hey, you guys fucked up. It's wrong.
It's his fault. That's what I would say. Does that mean no sympathy? I think that means no sympathy.
I can't argue that it's not his fault because he is the one that said it, but I'm absolutely sympathizing with him in the fact that it's bullshit what Disney is doing to him. That if that's what they're letting him go for, that is fucking horseshit. That's my feelings on it, and that's where I sympathize.
Right.
It's absolutely his fault. He made the tweet. You know you're on a public platform. What happens if down the road you blah, 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 blah? Why do you have to worry about things that much when you think, like, I would think that my, let's say, future employer would look at something that, like, for instance, like, I have a photo of me on Facebook, probably drunk. Ooh. Right? And then a future employer, while I'm employed with them for, let's say, 5 years, maybe is how long James Gunn has been working with Marvel. All of a sudden, they get a hold of that and they're like, we don't like drunken pictures. We need to let you go. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, to me, it's like, where does that line end?
Did you get off Twitter? I mean, did you get off Facebook?
No, I'm still on Facebook.
Okay. I mean, what I would say is that
But
there wasn't
here's
really
the thing.
a lesson learned there.
Nah, but here's the thing: is there are people out there actively just housing tweets from all of these famous people.
Yeah. I mean, that's where that screenshot came from.
Well, I don't know about that. Like,
screenshot of those like historical tweets.
They might still be out there. They might have still been out there until this day, and he took them down or whatever. But like, even if you take them down, like there are times where celebrities have taken shit down and people catch it
for sure.
They're like, you put this in and you took it away.
Exactly, but that's exactly my point. Is that there are people out there I'm not talking about. The world is always going to try and break your door down.
No, I know.
That's not my argument. It's up to you to put the locks and like the bar on the door when it comes to this stuff. You're flinging the fucking door open when you start posting to Twitter. You're like, come on in. Fuck my shit up.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, but then at that point, like, where does it end in the future? Like, at a certain point, like, you might not even be able to say hi to somebody that you don't know. Because, like, you're in the same situation. Like, both in the DMV line. Oh, this line. I don't know you. I don't want to talk to you. Somebody come over here and help me.
You're taking it in an extreme.
I am taking it in an extreme way. But the thing is like nowadays, if somebody finds out that you said something, a lewd joke, look at this in like, say we're in the 80s, right? And somebody says, hey, 10 years ago, you made a lewd joke to a public bar. and all of a sudden you're losing your job because of that. Like, it's major to me, man.
Yeah, it's sure, but people are different than the internet. The internet never forgets. When I say that, I mean you can see everything in the context that it was said. It's fully recorded.
Then does that not terrify you? Does not?
Yes.
Then what the fuck? Like, why the fuck do we use the internet? It's crazy to me.
No, it is crazy. It is crazy. The internet is a crazy concept.
It is a crazy thing, of course.
Yeah, but that's why I say you have to be careful. And he wasn't. It's his fault.
But that's his fucking brand. Like, that's what he's doing.
Twitter is not his brand.
No.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
The comedy that's on Twitter was his brand in 2011 and is not now. But you're saying that somebody has to go back and erase everything they did online because all of a sudden their life's changed a little bit now than what it was a few years ago? That's fucking bananas to me.
I'm not saying they have to. I'm saying that the choice that they made is going to affect their future. And if they've made choices in the past, they should do something. Maybe I'm just like fucking totally speculating. If something like that happened, it'd be like, like maybe, they go online and be like, look, looking back, like writing a tweet, if that's what they want to use the platform for. Looking back at these tweets, I'm like, I think that some of these are pretty insensitive, just meeting it head on or deleting them altogether from like years ago, right? Or deleting the account, being like, you know what? My brand of comedy doesn't really work for everyone, or like, I'm not, I realize this is getting to people that don't appreciate it, right? So I'm just going to stop.
Yeah.
Stop doing that, right? Maybe I use Twitter for something else, to announce projects, to, friendly banter with like other actors or whatever, if you want to continue that, but like that's gonna stop. Like something to like recognize that, that they have changed, because if it's not there and it's not recorded, it won't be recognized in history. These audits, it won't be recognized. The context isn't there. What changes in his head isn't constantly like changing on Twitter. His personality is changing. But you know where that is changing? When he interacts with people on a daily basis. He's talking to people. He's talking with his friends. He's having a drink with his buddies. Like, they see the change. My wife sees me change as I get older, right? But that's not Twitter, right? So either you're using the like that's kind of what I'm getting at. You always have that personal connection with those people and you see them change. Twitter, internet never forgets. But if you don't pump that data into it, the context is going to be completely lost and you'll get fired over something you said 10 years ago. Yeah, because you were irresponsible. You didn't take responsibility for this thing you put out there. Like if you throw something out onto your lawn, you have to take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Like you can't just leave it out there, or you can. Of course you can. Somebody's going to complain, right? I don't know. I'm using all these weird analogies. It's the public nature of the whole thing that makes me they know. These people know. It sucks that it happened. But sympathy for James Gunn is hard for me to dig up, because he knows. It's not a secret.
Yeah, we're not going to agree on this. That's the thing, is like I see Twitter as a creative outlet for him to be able to reach more people, or the people he already has. But unfortunately, it does reach other people, and then something like this down in the future can happen. Yeah. I just wish that studios or whoever would take the fact of the context in that, one, it's a joke.
Or
the man is trying to be comedian.
Talk to him about it.
Like I'm sure he'd have a hell of a conversation about it. He's like, look, this is what was going on in my head that day. I thought it was funny, and this is why, or whatever. But like,
maybe have it be a learning experience. I mean, there are other ways to go about
exactly.
This. Like I think. And obviously you feel that way.
And the other thing too is like, I'm taking it to the extreme because I follow a lot of stand-up comedians that say crazy shit, like really crazy shit.
Yeah.
But the thing that bugs me is like, what if all of a sudden like one of those stand-up comedians goes into a very famous, let's say a fucking Disney role, right? Or a Marvel role or something, because those are really the biggest roles out there. All of a sudden these stand-up comedians go out there.
I can give you an exact example of this. Are you ready? I think it falls in that. Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's Delirious and Raw.
Yeah.
And then he was in Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah.
And he was in Haunted Mansion. That's a Disney movie.
Yes.
I can't remember if Dr. Dolittle is a Disney movie or not. Nutty Professor. things like that. How long did it take for him to distance himself from Raw and Delirious? A long time.
When did he distance himself from those?
When he had kids and stopped doing
stand-up.
You're
saying doing that. Yeah.
Stop making those jokes. His entire persona changed, man. There was like a 180 in there. It might have been when he had his first kid. I don't know exactly what his personal situation is, but there was a point he stopped doing it. I mean, we can agree on that at least. None of his comedy or any of his films are like the films he did in the 80s.
Right.
And it took him more than a decade to get away from that. I don't know, when did Dr. Dolittle come? I don't know. We could go down this
late
rabbit
90s.
hole.
Who fuck cares?
We could go this rabbit hole, but I think it's like more than 10 years, if not more, between those two specials, which have a lot of racist, gay jokes in them, right? But people find funny as fuck, right?
Yep.
So, but you wouldn't be able to produce something like that today, or you'd have a hard time producing a special at that scale today. So it has happened, but it takes time, right? I don't know. I'm not even sure what kind of point I just made there. I thought it was interesting that you mentioned that, comedians who have historically had that brand of humor, that try to get a job with Disney, and they'll never be able to get a job. Well, I'm like, actually, they did,
right? But
it took how long did it take, and what kind of conversation did they have? It's like, I'm a changed man. You come in and say, and I'm pretty sure that's what he said, because he was. His entire brand changed. Yeah. Right? So that's an entire 180.
Yeah. I don't think that anybody's going to have some kind of creative backlash at this point, online or otherwise, for Eddie Murphy to stand up.
But why? And that's an issue.
I was going to say, I don't have an explanation.
I'm not even sure why. I'm not even sure.
Like Delirious, he drops the F-bomb at least a couple of times.
Oh,
not
F-fuck. Littered with F-bombs, but it's more than that. It's racial slurs. It's everything. It's crude. It's
very crude.
Gay jokes, like the works, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he got famous for it.
He got very famous for it.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm not even sure. Yeah, so in this context, he worked for Disney. So, it's hard. I don't have an explanation for that. Yeah. I just it's an interesting little data point.
Guys, this has been fun.
This has been a weird turn of events. We intended to talk about Dark Knight's Metal,
which will be in our next episode.
Yeah. But we were completely flabbergasted while getting our wiki set up and all of the notes set up. We just happened to what we were looking for was SDCC.
Yeah, we were like, let's look at SDC, and the first big thing that came up on that site was just hey, guess what? James Gunn is fired. I'm like,
shit.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's quite.
And we already had everything running, so this is now recorded.
Right. So well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think I actually liked talking about that. That was
good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Anyway, this is Otto.
Justin.
See you guys in what's 5 minutes for us, but maybe a week for you.
Something like that. That's why we'll be wearing the same stuff.
Yeah,
take care.
Yeah, that's right. If you see the next video and we're wearing the same thing, I do laundry, but I just want to make sure you guys. I'm not a dirty man. See you guys.
All right, take care.